Welcome to, what is our YouTube channel called? Do we still not know?
Well, it's called Solutions 8 because we're not creative.
Solutions 8 YouTube channel. It's John and Costin back together again. Once a week, we're bringing you an industry-specific video tutorial because that's what you've been asking for. Last week, we did hospitals and clinics. This week, we're doing SaaS. This was a request from Sylvester Igodalo. So first of all, I'm so sorry I butchered your name. Second of all, thank you for watching. Thanks for the request. And we're going to hit you right now. So we want to teach you how to run Google Ads campaigns for SaaS companies. And if you're not familiar, SaaS is software as a service. We have quite a bit of experience here. And what's interesting is we've had some like phenomenal successes, but we've also had some failures. And my mildly petulant opinion is the failures, it was the software's fault. You know what I mean? Because like I say,
it's never our fault.
It's never perfect. Our fault. No, but really, we brought them trials. Like if somebody takes a trial and then they don't buy your software, it's not the same thing as me bringing you a lead that doesn't close, because that lead is an unqualified lead. If somebody takes your trial, especially if they've already seen your pricing, they've seen your features, they've seen your pricing, they've tried the software, and then they don't buy.
It speaks to a bigger issue. It's premature to run traffic. I think that you would have to have the model hammered out first, or at least using traffic in order to optimize your model.
You have to have the ascension built in and figured out.
Yeah, and the fail point that we have with the other SaaS company was they had a 3% conversion rate because their SaaS product offered so much in their free trial that it was a free trial for life. It was kind of like the free version. And then they were paying people to join it. And then only 3% of those people would actually convert it. We got really close. We got really close to being like just at a break-even point, but it wasn't. I mean, you can only spend so much in Google before you just kind of say like, hey, even if we scale this thing to $1 million a day, it's still not going to be profitable, even if we got the cost per conversion in half, just because no one signs up after the trial.
3% of their trials converted to paid users.
And that was the structure of their model. Was their free trial gave them pretty much the one thing everyone was looking for, and you didn't have to pay for it.
It was a freemium software that you had forever, and then they were banking on people wanting to upgrade later.
Yeah, and the majority of people needed like functionality A. I don't want to name their names because they're not a current client of ours, but their trial software, the freemium version, gave them the solution to problem A, and then they had a bunch of ancillary solutions to problems not a lot of people needed or were looking for. So it's kind of like answering the problem that like they were just kind of hoping people had, but as soon as they signed up to the freemium, they would use it for like 6 to 8 months to say, perfect, I have everything that I need, and then they would leave. And they had a ton of organic traffic, and that's what built their business. Is they had just a massive, I mean, talking like thousands of people per week going to their site organically and converting. Now, when you make 3% conversion rate on a free, a quote unquote free user, yeah, that's scalable. But to run paid traffic to it, that model just simply doesn't fit anymore.
Well, especially because there were people with teeth competing against them. I mean, they had some like pretty big. That's the other issue with SaaS. Do you remember? I won't say their names. They're friends of ours, though. The marketing automations. So we ran traffic for an application that had an insane suite of features, like 15 features that each one could be its own software. We ran traffic for every single individual feature set, and we found out of the 15 we could only compete on one. And when we dug into it, it was because there were companies like Salesforce that were, I mean, they're willing to spend more money on a customer than the customer's worth because they're looking just for like the usage statistics to go up so their stock price increases.
Right.
Yeah, so it was insane. So I'll say before we dive into the Google Ads piece, for my SaaS, if you're running ads for a SaaS company or you are a SaaS company, your ascension model has to be either rock solid, or you have to realize that you're using paid traffic in order to prove your ascension model, like John just said, to create it, to optimize it to whatever. You can't expect paid traffic to fix your ascension. Traffic's going to bring you the user, and if the user doesn't buy, it's on you. Is that too aggressively stated?
No, and it's exactly right. Think about, all we're doing with Google Ads is we're sending traffic. I mean, that's it. It's not, there's a lot obviously more, but in a nutshell, you're sending traffic. If you already have a good amount of organic traffic and things aren't working, paid traffic's not going to fix that. If you already, or if you have a model that you haven't really tested yet, just know that paid traffic is going to put that to the test. It's gonna identify. Like if you have, think of it like a brick and mortar location. If you have a grocery store and you've placed all of the free samples and no one wants, and then you pay for a bunch of people to come through the door, no one needs the free samples, then it's not the people that are coming in the store, it's possibly the free sample, or if they try the free sample.
Actually, the other software company did the worst thing. They put all this stuff out in the front that was free, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is enough." Like,
4 pounds of filet mignon.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Here's 15 pounds of shrimp to try, and we'll see you tomorrow.
That's awesome. All right, cool.
Yep.
So let's dive into. We've got a client SaaS company. We're gonna have to blur the daylights out of this whole thing because it's gonna be hard to veil their identity otherwise.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll show what I need to show. We'll be able to blur the name, but everything else is like what the campaigns are labeled are pretty safe. So we'll make sure to blur whatever we need to. But I want to kind of go through the how to run it. I think that's going to be a good.
Will you go over the math too, John, at some point, what you did with me right before the video? Because I think it's so compelling.
Yeah. So here's the first thing that you're going to need to know before running traffic is identify either current performance metrics, and I'll share with you what those are, or at least identify what your KPIs are going to be, your key performance indicators, to make sure, okay, if I'm hitting these numbers, this should come to fruition, because that's all you're doing with paid traffic is obviously sending traffic to purchase or trial or start a free trial sign up. So understanding those metrics is going to be key. Without those metrics, both us or an agency or your internal person that you hired or and your company are going to be kind of flying blind. You're not sure if you're going to be achieving success. You're going to be spending probably a good amount of money and thinking that's working, but unless you know those metrics, if you're losing money at $100 a day, you're going to lose 10 times as much at $1,000 a day. So it's going to be, you lose money faster. Really, that's the thing.
There's that old joke, we lose money on every deal, but we make it up in scale.
Right. Yeah, that's not really true of paid traffic. Sometimes it is. The first thing you want to look at, though, is going to be what you're going to be counting. Now, with a SaaS product, there's a lot of things that people can opt into. A demonstration, they can fill out a contact form, they can possibly request a quote if it's a custom SaaS product. Choose what is going to be your beginning of your funnel that matters. Requesting a quote is good. Doesn't really translate into did the quote actually sign up post, talking to the sales team and importing that into Google Ads. That's hard to track if you're not sending over UTM parameters, you don't have a good CRM tool, your sales team is unorganized, and you're not counting those metrics very well by source to import them back into Google Ads. If you don't have that metrics, sending 100 people to a demo page and having them sign up for a free demo, but one converts, that's hard to scale. Especially, or 80% might be converting, but you're not tracking it. Again, hard to scale. So phone calls, are good. Demo signups, those type of things are good. But the area that we focused on the most was free trial sign up. That's where a user actually starts to get engaged. That's like the first part of, we have our first quote unquote customer that is going to become a paid customer after 30, 60, 90, maybe 7 days, whatever it is. And then you want to base your metrics off of that starting point, because you can scale that number very well. I'll show with you what we did with this client here. And you'll see we have a lot of different conversions. I'm not counting any of them. I'm counting them in the all conversions. So I can see, 27 people that start paying this month, and yada, yada, yada. But the free trial sign up is the only one I'm including in conversion. And what I did is I gave it a value. The value is $1,560. And here's how I got to that value. I'm going to put out a calculator real quick. I don't exactly remember the dollar amount, so it's going to come off a couple dollars different than this, but here's the math that we worked on. Right now, a paid user per month for this company is $129 per user per month. On average, they have 2 users sign up, so it's times 2. And they have to sign a year-long contract when they start, after their trial sign up is complete, and they charge that upfront. And that upfront fee is obviously times 12 months. Oops, it didn't work. Hold on. 129 times 2 times 12 months, 3,096. That's what a new paid user pays them annually. But they have a 50% close rate. So each lead we give them doesn't make them 3,000. Each lead we give them gives them essentially half of it, because after 2 leads, they'll have 1 closed sale. So you divide that number by 2 and you come out with 1,548. I think it was like 130. I think it's 129. That's why it's a little bit off. But that's how I got to that metric. The reason is if I say, hey, client, you have 4 new signups. Well, you have 4 new trial signups. 1560 times 4 is 1560 times 4 is 660 to 40. And that's because out of those 4 new signups, 2 will sign up and actually become a paid. Sorry, after those 4 trials, 2 will sign up, become a paid. So you divide that by 2. There's your metric that's coming out.
So the business owner in me says, and this is just again me being a little bit petulant, but if your software is any good, they're going to retain much longer than a year. So these leads are actually worth more than 1560. Now, I wouldn't fight the client on it because it's not for me to just let them know how much money we're making them. But I do want to say for my SaaS product owners, if your retention is long, and most SaaS I think tends to be, the value prop for you. I mean, this company is making what, John? What we said, 440% ROAS.
And I was actually going to share that. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, I stole your thunder. Then keep going.
Well, I mean, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah. Just. You want to do this, Cos?
Yeah, come on. I quit. I don't need to be here. that's exactly right. And that's how they figured their ROAS, though, is the ROAS of, let's say, 1560 times 2. That's their annual payment. And then they said, hey, we want to be around a 350 cost per new trial signup. And then if you take 1320, we divide that by 350 CPA. That's an 891% return. If you have 2 leads, so 440% if you're counting each lead. So each lead that closes is a 440% ROAS.
No, but that's assuming that the leads are only there for a year.
Exactly.
The minute somebody goes re-ups for another year, it doubled their ROAS.
Right, and they're free conversion. Like, it's not really necessarily double the ROAS. It's almost like you spent $1, made 4, and then the next
another 4.
You just made 4. Yeah, it's like you didn't even need to spend $1. So it's just free, essentially free revenue after that year.
Dude, that's why I love the SaaS space. We're in the wrong business. We need a SaaS. If you're watching this video and you have a really good idea for a SaaS, just know John and I are in. We'll be your marketing department.
Yep, for a pretty good percentage, only 51% controlling assets. That's nothing.
Only? Yeah, we're gonna need like 90. We'll blow it up.
You're right. We'll all be rich. But that's what's interesting about this is that model, especially when you have a SaaS product, when you have those metrics, a $350 per new trial signup seems expensive. Like, when you look at it on the surface, you're like, I'm paying $350 to get a person to sign up for a free trial for something. But that's what this costs at scale. And the way to set this up is to, in my opinion, you want to test 2 different types of keywords. Keyword, I guess, models. I have one called the MSP software, managed services products software, in a broad keyword. Now, it doesn't mean broad match. Actually, both of these are running broad match. And I'll show it with you in a moment. But the MSP software broad means more of a broader approach to the keyword. And this one used to be called MSP software specific. It was more of a longer tail keyword. Now, let me kind of share with you the structure here from February, because this is actually really important. The structure from February, since February to end of April, so February, March, April, so 3 months, we spent $117,000. And I did that in terms of testing. Now, what you'll see is when we're looking at in February here, we have an average of $324 cost per conversion. This is cost per signup, and we're spending $24,000. In the last 30 days, we spent $50,000, and that went up to $450. It started to increase. But what we've done, and this is what I really believe that a SaaS product needs to do, is people look for a SaaS product in 1,000 different ways. They look for everything that they can possibly. They're looking for a solution.
Yeah, this is a hyper-educated consumer.
Yeah, it's a hyper-educated consumer. So you can go after the. Let me just do search campaigns. I'll show you keywords, and I'll show you what we looked at here. I had 351 different keywords that I ran, and 350 keywords that I ran in all different match types. And what I found out is that by using the pure broad strategy, which I think we've discussed that a few times, in the pure broad strategy, what I was using is a target CPA approach. And that target CPA, I gave it the goal that I needed to give it as a $350 cost per new trial signup, 350 CPA. So using pure broad and CPA, and start wide. You will see that when I look at the clicks versus the conversions, you'll see some keywords here spent $2,000 and only brought one sign up. So that one obviously was paused. 1,200 and brought one sign up. The 1,000 and brought one sign up. Those are all paused. I'll spend 6,700 for 12, or I'll spend 3,100 for 16. But you'll see that this one here, we have 3,400 and only 2 signups. This one is going to get paused. And actually, you'll see that I'll just do it right now. It was really, really relevant, so we didn't want to pause it just yet. But what you want to do is when you go fairly broad, and that's going to match for everything. It's going to match for competitors as well, which is going to be something that's really important. It's going to match for just a whole multitude of different types of keywords. And so rather than taking 6 months and testing keywords, start broad and simply just use the metrics in order to reduce the CPA goal, or reduce your actual CPA. If a keyword's starting to spend above the CPA and it's been doing it for 1 or 2 months, then just pause it, because your daily ad spend will just simply reallocate to the keywords that are exactly given a higher performing. So our approach was starting broad, giving them equal chance, and you'll see that the specific keywords are $14 cost per click. The more broad keywords are $6 cost per click. They come out to about the same.
Wow.
Same approach. But what I've done essentially is if I was taking one campaign and testing keywords and some were too expensive, some are less, less expensive, I can get double the clicks for the same cost. Yeah, but they convert half as often because they're more broad. So taking a very wide approach and leaning on Google's algorithm in order to get us to a point where it's within CPA goal, but, and this is the best part about this, it is so scalable when you're using the pure broad approach. And that's really true. In this last week here, we spent 10 grand, and we have 27 new trial signups at 351, which is exactly where we need to be. That
450 number that we were seeing, people are seeing this actively optimized. It was 450. We've already dropped it down to 350. You just don't see that reflected in the date range yet.
Exactly. Just by turning that off, turning off those keywords. Now it'll fluctuate a little bit, and they made. It's not really a fair assessment to go from like February to March, April. This campaign's changed a lot because there's been a different landing page, and then that was scrapped, and then we went back to the other landing page. So there's been a little bit of fluctuation just from the existing business that we're doing. But what's interesting,
rock stars, dude. That's the other thing that we should say is they're on the ball. They've got a badass software. They actually listen to our recommendations. Like, I really like this team.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that you have to take a look at too, though, is going very broad will help because there is a crazy time lag. And I'll share this with you how this time lag is. And it's something you have to be very, very cautious of. You'll see that the conversions show 19, but the conversions by conversion time and just this one date range here of a week show 27. So there's 8 more people that have signed up right now that didn't come from the last week of clicks.
Why is conversions by conversion time not the default in Google Ads?
Because it's a what's happening now from your previous efforts, not what happened from your previous efforts. So 19 conversions came from the clicks in this last week. 27, which means there's 8 people that actually signed up from your previous. Yeah. Right. And so if you look at conversion by conversion time, you're like, wow, this is going really, really good. Let's add more ad spend. But what you did 2 weeks ago was possibly abandon a bidding strategy that used to work, and now you're going to feel that next week.
Yeah. So I still think it should be a default column, like right next to conversion by conversion time. Like, it's actually to Google's benefit too. Like, hey, this is working better than you think it is.
And that's what actually is interesting though, is if you're basing your CPA goal is actually basing it off of this column here, your cost per conversion. It's not basing off the cost per conversion by conversion time. So while you're getting this, Google thinks you're getting this. So if I set a $500 CPA and I consistently get this, I'm happy with time lag.
Wow. So you could actually increase your target CPA as long as you're monitoring your cost by conversion time, but Google's benchmarking off of cost. Is there any way for us to change that? Can we tell Google what the denominator is? No. God.
You just have to understand this. And then here's the craziest part is when you know that you're setting your targets higher than what you're getting or what Google thinks you're getting, look at the scalability of this thing. I can spend $23,000 in a day, and I can spend 150 grand. I get 38 conversions. That's bad. Don't do that. That's horrible. We're getting that in, like a week, a little bit less than that in a week for 10 grand. But all this is to say is that when you're using pure broad, you're using machine learning, you're testing them equally. Like, let's test some more broad, let's test more specific to see if one comes out on top. It just didn't. They just both equaled by basically the same thing. But what's nice is if you were doing this the traditional way, like broad match, modified, phrase match, exact match, even though broad match modified is going away, if you were using phrase match, exact match, and you whittled it down to like the top performing 10 keywords, and then you wanted to scale, and your search impression share for those keywords is like 91%, and you have 10% loss, due to budget, you're stuck there. When you go pure broad, you can tell Google, find me anybody else, exactly. And using target CPA will get you there. Test hundreds of keywords, and then just let the data depict which one are your top performing keywords. Let them match to competitors, let them match to all the ways that people are searching. For me, I really could care less how a person's signing up, as long as that 50% from trial sign up to close stays, right, and my CPA is in goal. I really don't care how they got this there. If I cared, I can care and probably get better cost per conversion. I just wouldn't be able to scale to 27 grand a day if I wanted to.
So y'all, this is a masterclass in SaaS advertising. Like what John just did, there were so many knowledge bombs in there, bro. That was really, really good. My mind is blown. You have a call now. I know you got to hop, but I wouldn't mind. I noticed that there's a display ad campaign in there that doesn't seem to be performing, but I have a feeling that you have like a strategy that we might be using that I'd be interested in talking about for a subsequent video.
Yeah, and the reason why that display campaign is kind of on hibernation mode right now, we're only spending about $300 a week, is it's remarketing, but we're changing a lot of things. This company's going through a big facelift, and we used to send all that traffic right to their homepage. Now we actually have a dedicated landing page, and that dedicated landing page started Monday. And what's today? Wednesday?
Yeah.
No, Tuesday.
Someday.
I don't know. Anyway, it's Tuesday. And so it just started like yesterday, honestly. And so I want to give this a little bit of time to see how that is performing before I start flooding it with display, because I can spend 27 grand a day on search. I can probably spend $1 million a day on display, but before I start cranking that up, I want to go after the heart of the conversions. People looking for us, do they get to the page, do they convert? If I know that happens, I can find other people to send to that page. I just want to make sure when you get to that page, do you convert?
That's awesome. Have you seen Google's dynamic exclusion list for display?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole bit. Like if somebody
finally,
I know, right? Yeah, but
we used to have AdSense for Google Ads, and that was, you just add the one negative of AdSense to Google Ads. It's like, oh, okay, cool, you're out of all like the websites and the games and apps and all the stuff that you didn't really want. But now they took that away, and then they stopped giving you the little exclusion list. Like, oh, do you want to exclude games? Go topic by topic. Even after you complete all those topics, you still get, oh, here's the other 40,000 we didn't tell you about, that's not covered.
Yeah, but I feel like if somebody actually takes the time to build these lists well, like this will get like ultra granular, like really, really high value.
I'm super excited, because display was just been my little, kind of extra thing after they removed assets for mobile apps. It's like, great, I really don't want, hits on Disney apps.
Yeah, that's because kids, it's all a bunch of kids that like don't know what it is that they're pressing. Dude, I think GDN is the biggest missed opportunity in the realm of Google Ads right now.
Yeah. Oh, and it is. And the problem was too, is unless you were spending enough for it to learn quick enough for it to optimize, it's like you can, unless you're spending like 20 grand a month on display, you're going to give it 3, 4, 5 months.
We've got a client like that. They came to us. Marcus, if I said that name, do you know what account I'm talking about? Info products?
No.
Okay. He was, anyway, he was a referral from one of those masterminds we're a part of.
Dude, yeah.
Spending high 5 figures in display and crazy broad, but conversion optimizing really well. Now, the first couple of months were abysmal, but then all of a sudden, his acquisition costs are low. Like he's crushing life with freaking broad display. Like, and they didn't know what they were doing. I hope he forgives me for saying that. But it worked. They just like kind of trusted the algorithm, and they spent enough money over time to like optimize.
Yeah, conversion tracking is key there. Yeah. I've seen a lot of times where you're not tracking the right conversions, and what will happen is you'll see, well, Google looks at signals. Well, Disney, Junior has a bunch of clicks. That might be good. But if you're counting time on page and you have, a 2-year-old just slamming your home button like 5, 6 times, these people have great landing page experience and they're engaging, send more traffic that way. So, but if you're using like a target CPA, or if you're using like a target ROAS and you're basing off of good solid conversions, like they had to make it to that thank you page, then it's going to say, well, these people click, but then they don't engage, they don't convert. So stop showing it there. So trusting the algorithm is correct, but you need to make sure you know what you're tracking. Tracking button clicks as conversions. Yeah, Disney Channel is going to be where your ads show most often, because kids just love pressing those buttons.
Us, like if we try to run that, even conversion optimizing, the quality of the leads I would anticipate being pretty low if we went broad display.
Well, that's the thing. We have a client that has like 20 required fields on the homepage of their website. And those 20 required fields, like they need to know some pretty specific things. Like as an example, the height, width, and length of a steel building that they are requesting about. Like no one knows that. Not when they first start engaging with a company like that. But if I can get a person to go through 20 required fields, I will lean on any saturation type of conversion optimization. But if I'm looking at like first name, email, and phone number, yeah, probably gonna be a junk lead.
Yeah, we need to get better at that.
Yeah, so the gatekeeper, that's a big step. If you can get people past that, lean on conversion algorithms hard.
Yeah, which honestly speaks to SaaS. Like, remember for the client that we just did the case study, remember their initial sign up process? Dude, it was robust.
It was it was 6 steps long.
Yeah, but I think that worked to their advantage, because if you get to the end of it, it's like, all right, you're actually going to use the damn thing.
Yeah, but then you had to spend like $80 a second on remarketing, because like it's 6 steps long and takes them about a week to complete, because they need to know like the subdomain they're going to be using, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, so if you start step 1, for the next 6 days, I'm just remarketing just
your face with my hands.
Exactly. I'm just remarketing you to the moon, really, because like, remember, you're not done yet.
That's so funny. If you're watching this, first of all, let's go give a shout out again to our requester. Who was it? Sebastian? No, Sylvester Iguodalo. Thank you for the request on the topic. Y'all, if there are other ad campaigns you want to know how to run, don't give us something so myopically specific that it's not applicable to our the overarching channel. But if there's a category you want to know about, and we have a client in that category, we'll run one of these. We're going to do one a week, and we'll probably run out someday, right? We've got 140 some odd clients now.
Next year we'll probably not have much to talk about.
Yeah, we'll just make them up at that point. We'll be like, how to run ads for rocket ships.
Yeah, I'll be like, if you have, a blue wallet, this video is for you.
This is where we're going. And if you're watching this for the first time, please subscribe if you like our content. We shoot one video every single day, which is really aggressive. John doesn't ask me anything every Monday morning. I do an Ask Me Anything every Friday morning. So, we try to provide as much value as we possibly can. We've got a lot of really cool stuff going on. We give away a lot on the channel. So if you like what we're doing, subscribe, like, comment, share, do all the things. Otherwise, we appreciate y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.